on this computer. All right, welcome to the information meeting on the Washington, D.C. It's not, can you call it a study abroad, study trip, we'll call it, / class. So let me tell you, and I'll just tell you quickly where this came from. So this is the third year in a row that my Berlin study abroad has been canceled. And I said, enough. And the chair of the department said, enough. We have money here that we need to be giving to students to have study experiences. What can we do to come up with a good study experience? And I said, well, I'm in DC this semester. This might be the perfect way to join, to give students an opportunity to expose themselves to the interesting architecture and art, and give them money to be able to do it. So even though it's not Europe, there is a lot of interesting stuff to do in DC. So let me, we're going to do here is I'm going to give you a kind of overview of the trip and of the class and kind of the logistical stuff. And then you guys can ask questions because I'm sure that's where a lot of stuff will come out. Okay. Oh no, sorry. How did I stop sharing this? Sharing, share. Now if I present, are you guys seeing what I'm sharing? Okay.
Yes.
So summer 2022. This class is it's called Monuments, what is it called? Memorials, Monuments, or anyway, it had something. I'm failing you guys. I think I have the title later. Anyway, it's gonna focus again on the ideas of national identity, and we're gonna do that through architecture and ask ourselves questions. So here we have the Library of Congress, we have the Capitol Dome, we have the Supreme Court. Why did the founding fathers choose neoclassical as a style? And what does that say about order and government? We're also going to think about who was building these buildings and how slavery played into the foundation of the building of our nation's capital. We're also going to think about memorials and monuments and what those do to help create a national identity, to create memory, to write history in very physical, tangible ways. And what kind of, artists, architects, sculptors have played a hand in this, and how have different approaches been effective or ineffective. So we'll spend some time, hopefully we'll get a couple of you wanting to write papers on sites like this. And then we're going to think about urban planning and history in general. So the National Mall and, what does it mean to have this sort of open central space and with that Washington Monument in the middle and then museums flanking either side. We're going to, do a walk through Georgetown, and I would like to do a canal. There's a great canal tour that takes you through Old Town Georgetown, Dumbarton Oaks, where the UN was created, had its foundation, and then, this is the Smithsonian Castle. So thinking about history, thinking about urban planning, thinking about sort of how a city can evolve kind of amorphously, or it can be planned out very intentionally, and what's the difference there. And then of course we're going to see art. There's so much art in DC, and amazingly many of the museums are free, and so this keeps our experience more affordable as well. So I'm showing you things from the National Gallery, from the National Museum of African Art, from the National Museum of Asian Art. I think those Rothko paintings are at the Phillips, etc. So architecture, monuments, and art. That's kind of what we're going to be covering. So so here's my title: Monuments, Museums, and the History of Washington, D.C. This will count as an upper level art history course. It will also count as a graduate course. So if you're a graduate student, you can take it for credit. And it will happen during the summer period. That's not a long period. So that's only about a month, just over a month, May 23rd to June 27th. That means it will be very intensive. For a class to count as an upper level art history, you really do need to learn to write a solid term paper. You need to be able to present. You need to be practicing writing skills, and we will be testing our knowledge and having insightful readings. But all that has to happen in 5 weeks instead of the normal 14-week semester. So it's kind of like, if you're taking an upper level art history right now, think of the work you do every week for that class and times it by 3. And that's how much work this class will take. So it's not a class that you can take really while you're working a 40-hour job and still get sleep. So consider that as you think about things. For the first 3 weeks, I will be assigning reading. I'll be assigning recorded lectures, and we will meet via Zoom, probably about twice a week. This is the time when you're going to be drafting your paper. So you're going to be picking a topic. You're going to be, getting your bibliography together. You're going to be kind of researching and fleshing out the bulk of your upper level research paper for this class. And then we'll have our 10 days in DC. So I have already made reservations for a youth hostel here. We're going to be here from June 6th to the 16th. So it'll be 10 days here on site, and that's when we'll visit monuments and museums. You're actually going to present on your paper on site. So normally in an upper level art history class, you would give us a PowerPoint presentation as you stood in front of the room. This time you get to stand in front of the work of art, or in front of the memorial or the museum architecture or the government building that you've chosen to write your paper on. So that will, in that sense, your paper topics will, to some extent, control our itinerary. You'll help decide where it is that we're going to be spending our time. And you'll be acting as tour guides for each other because you're going to be the expert on those sites. And then in our final week, you will go home and you will edit your papers and turn in your papers. And this is, those 10 days are an opportunity for you to learn lots experientially, but they're also an opportunity for you to do on-site research. So if you're doing a monument or a work of architecture or a museum and you're asking how museum displays work within a space, you will be doing research on your paper by taking notes in those spaces. And then you'll just turn in your final paper, and that's the whole class. I know this works. I have done it before. Before COVID, I did take a group to Berlin and we spent 2 weeks there. And here you can see students presenting on specific works of art, or the large scale one of Jana Miller here. She's actually thought about the urban museum and museum space for street art, and how does street art lose meaning in a museum space, and how does that change its meaning. So again, thinking about working right in those spaces. Oh. All right, so let's get down to some of the logistical stuff. The cost. Right now I've estimated the cost at $1,900. That includes airfare. Right now, I've budgeted in $700 for airfare, but actually right now tickets are $500. So this could, and maybe by the time we buy the tickets, they'll be higher than 700. So again, this cost may fluctuate a little bit. Hopefully I've overestimated, but that's where it stands now. And just to give you some comparison, I will tell you that I had a friend at the University of Alabama who just took a group to New York, and their trip was $5,000. So I have you as students in mind. I try to keep the prices low to make that all work. The price includes housing, it includes airfare, travel to the city and within the city. So you'll get week metro passes, so you can ride the metros and the buses. It includes some of the meals. So originally I thought it would include breakfast and some of the other meals. I might make it a daily lunch instead, because anyway, we can talk about those logistics later, but about, a third to half of your meals will be covered. It will include entrance to all of the planned activities. There may be activities that you choose to do. I think I have 2 free days scheduled in right now, flexible days that you can spend doing whatever you want. And so, but as far as the planned activities, that will be covered by the cost. So it doesn't include all your meals, any unplanned activities, any souvenirs, and it does not include your tuition. We need to have an application process for this because the course needs to be limited to 12 students. In part that's COVID, in part that's housing situation, and just the logistics of public transportation in a big group. So there will be a sort of selection process, a combination of, merit, so your grades, and your need, if you have a need for an upper level class, etc. But that will be a quick turnover. So I'll kind of get the applications in. If we, hopefully it just works out that everybody who wants to go can go, because I would love to not have to turn people away. But then I'll let you know, and then by mid-March, you'll have your first payment of $250. 2 weeks later, your second payment of $400, and then another payment of $400. The last payment of $1,000, I'm hoping will be covered by scholarship, because there is scholarship money, as I mentioned at the beginning, that the chair said we need to start using. And I've been told we can use $800 to $1,000. So I'm going to push hard that we can get $1,000 per student covered. And that's for any art major in good standing. So who is been accepted to the program. And when I say art major, I mean studio art, art history, art education. So anybody who's advised by our department is an art major. All right, just really quickly, I will tell you to keep, I'll just show you where we'll be staying. So this is the Generator. It's a youth hostel. It's kind of a boutique hostel experience. But again, it was important to me. I had you as students in mind. So I didn't want to get, $200 a night, Hilton place. Instead, I went the youth hostel route. And that means you'll be sharing a room with other students, 4 to a room. So this is kind of what the rooms look like. Not terribly roomy or luxurious, but there's enough space, and you'll be spending most of the time out in the city. I also didn't want to get like the 8-person room that was super cheap, because anyway, this is kind of in the middle, because I thought with COVID, anyway, this is a few, but not too many. So there's not a lot of room to kind of gather in your hostel space, but there are communal areas as part of the hostel. So you'll have those spaces to meet or to work should you need it. Okay, how to prepare. So start saving your money. If you are buying lunch at the food court every day here on campus, start packing peanut butter and jelly instead, and just start saving money. Start talking to your family. I know when there was a student that wanted to go to London with Dr. Martin one semester, she just posted the sculpture she had made of Salvador Dali for Michael's class on Facebook and said, anybody want to buy this to help fund me on my London trip? And one of her parents' friends was like, sure, I'll take it for $500. And she was like, sure. So start thinking about how you can raise some funds. Get vaccinated. So if you're not already vaccinated, the restaurants here, a lot of restaurants, I don't think you can, and who knows what COVID will look like in June. Things may be different, hopefully better, but it's wise to get vaccinated if you're not already. Start thinking about your paper topics. Again, it's an intensive course, so you want to be kind of planning ahead, thinking ahead about what sort of monument, what architecture, what museum, what work of art would be interesting for you, or what has to do with issues of national identity. We will be walking a lot, so you might, if you need to get in shape, you might want to start walking for an hour every day. I will say our hostel is well located. Let me stop sharing. Wait, are you still there? No, I am still sharing. That was just presenting. All right, it's 1 mile from the White House, which is about a 30-minute walk. Now the White House, to get beyond the White House to the mall, is going to be another 15 minutes. So it's 45 minutes to the mall. There are metros and buses. Where the hostel is, you'll have to take a bus and then switch on to the metro and get down. So if you're in good shape, you know, you can walk to the metro that 10, 12 minutes and then just take the metro in. You'll have week passes, so that won't be an issue. So those were my initial thoughts. What are your initial questions? So I will open it up to you.
Well, I had connectivity issues a little bit. I'm going to have to watch the recording to be sure I know everything.
I'll send it to you, Deidre.
Okay, thanks.
Yes. Jacob, you look like you might have a question.
So I guess just about like the cost of it, like the scholarship. You said it's like a part of the application. Is that correct?
Well, you don't have a separate application.
Okay, so it's all together.
It's all together. Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are coming on the trip and you're a full-time student, you will get the hopefully $1,000.
Okay. So,
What are the dates, Lauren? Hold on.
The dates?
What are the
in DC?
Yes.
So June 6th to the 16th. So it's 10 days.
Okay, that's good because I'm teaching a summer camp on starting the 18th of June, I believe,
Okay.
or later.
That's
end of
pretty
June or
close.
July.
Can you still finish up a paper? And
No, it's the last weekend of July. Hold on, I'll check.
oh, July. Yeah,
The last weekend of June and July, I believe. Let me see. I'm gonna check right now.
Yeah, no, you'll be fine.
Oh, I know it's here somewhere.
Yeah, any other
TikTok.
questions?
June 28th to July 8th is when I'll be teaching.
And I think the semester ends on June 27th. So you'll have your paper in and your grade all before you start. So you're fine there.
Gotcha.
About the 2 free days, are they back to back or spread out?
We can decide that. That's a good question, Evie. Do you want to get out of the city?
Yeah. The metals teacher, Lydia, said that she could set me up with some connections, but it's in Baltimore.
Nice. Which is not too far away.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we can decide that as a class. So I've written up a tentative itinerary just to get it approved by the chair and the dean and the provost to take a trip. So I have this whole plan, but it's a plan that can definitely be arranged depending on your paper topics and your needs. When we did take the Berlin trip, I put at least a day and a half, or I think maybe 2 days together, because I had some students who went down to Munich. Philadelphia is not that far away. New York's a little bit of a trek, but there's lots to see. There's lots to see in DC. So I don't know that you need to go out, but yeah. But if you want to do Mount Vernon on your day off, on the free day, that's also a possibility.
Oh my God, Ocean City is fun. They have the boardwalk and everything on Ocean City.
Awesome. All right. So I have not yet set up the application process, but that's my next thing on my to-do list. So I'm gonna send this out to people who, maybe I'll just send it out. Should I send it out to everybody? Jacob, did you ever get the other email? Sending it to the art department listserv, did that work?
no, I only got the email that I was sent back to you. I didn't get the whole.
Okay, wonder if you're
Yeah.
not on the listserv. Oh, because maybe you're not a full-time student at this point.
At this point, yes, that's
Yeah,
probably
that might
that's
be
what I'm thinking, because I'm not really a part of the department until I actually start my master's, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Let's wrap it up. And if you guys have other questions or think of other questions, you can email me and I'll send out this to Deetra and to anybody else who's interested, and spread the word. I'll try to get some posters up as well by the design squad. So thanks so much for coming, and looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Bye.